Hey, so I've been thinking about buying some of that Bitcoin. Are you crazy? Everybody knows that Bitcoin is an absolute scam, but it just keeps going up. I really think that I should own some of this. It feels like it's the future. It's only used by criminals and it has no actual value. I mean, what is it backed by? People are losing faith in the financial system. You're going to lose all your money. Hey, finance fam, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I, a financial planner, am going to explain if you should own Bitcoin or not. I'm going to focus on Bitcoin specifically in this video. It is the largest cryptocurrency that's out there. Bitcoin is up a whopping 7,000% from 2014, and it's pretty impressive in terms of asset class returns. So, what's the deal? Is Bitcoin a worthy investment that you should consider putting in your portfolio, or is it a scam? Or is it something that's only for criminals and illegal activities, as a very high figure like Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, says? Warren Buffett has even called it rat poison. So, what are we supposed to do when we hear these very, very important figures in finance and investing call Bitcoin those names, but yet Bitcoin just can't seem to die? In our Daily Doe newsletter, Chris Dunn wrote about the compound annual growth rate of different assets. And a compound annual growth rate is essentially a measure of annualized returns over a specific time period. That's how we can compare how different assets do. And what he outlined here is that Bitcoin's compounded annual growth rate is over 100% a year over the past decade. I don't think you guys understand how insane that is. So to compare it, Apple stock's compounded annual growth rate is over 20%. The S&P 500's compounded annual growth rate is around 11%. So just that alone can show you how staggering a 100% plus compounded annual growth rate for an asset is. And this, my friends, is why people have been paying attention to Bitcoin. And this, my friends, is why institutional investors are starting to pay attention and actually take it more seriously. So that begs the question, should you be buying Bitcoin and investing in it? Even with the returns that we've seen in Bitcoin, we still have people saying things like this: Bitcoin doesn't make any sense at all to me. It doesn't. It doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people. And my answer to that is the US dollar is not backed by anything. It used to be backed by gold, but it's not backed by anything anymore except for the full faith that people have in the US government. People basically have faith that the US government is going to be able to pay its debts. It's going to be able to do it successfully without completely ruining the country. That's what the US dollar is backed upon: faith in the US government's ability to fulfill its obligations. Bitcoin is backed by people's faith in blockchain technology. It's essentially a public ledger where you can see what transactions are happening on the blockchain. And it's also decentralized, meaning if you right now need to transact with money, it's centralized. You have to have a bank, you have to have a credit card company, you have to have an interchange system, you have to have all of these financial measures in place to be able to make transactions that are based upon third parties. Bitcoin is basically decentralized, meaning there is no centralization that's controlling the transactions. You and I can go make a transaction in Bitcoin without any financial institution if we wanted to. And that's why people are excited about Bitcoin and blockchain technology, because it's allowing for some decentralization and less control over the financial system. And people do like to say, well, if Warren Buffett didn't invest in it, if Charlie Munger didn't invest in it, then I'm not investing in it. Well, unfortunately, those investors were value investors. They missed a lot of good technology investments because they had a specific type of investment strategy that they were following. And, quite frankly, technology has moved really fast and it's been hard for a lot of people to understand, even some of the greatest investors out there. I've said this many times. It is very, very rare that we see brand new asset classes emerging and getting an ability to be on the forefront of those asset classes. It's very rare. And that's what's essentially happening with Bitcoin, which is the largest cryptocurrency. So here's where I stand as a financial planner when it comes to crypto, specifically Bitcoin. I think that it doesn't have to be something you put a ton of money into, but I do think it's going to be one of the things that could be most regrettable for investors if they don't put something into it or invest something into it. So, like I've said before, you don't have to put a large percentage of your assets into something like Bitcoin. Even a small allocation, because of the sheer size of returns that Bitcoin has seen historically in its very short history, you can have a small allocation to Bitcoin and still end up having that make a impact that's very positive on your portfolio overall. So we call that risk adjusted returns. Looking at that compounded annual growth rate, that gives you an idea of why that could be the case. This is a very volatile asset. Actually, if you look at historically how much this has pulled back on in bear markets, we've seen this thing pull back 80+%, multiple times. We've seen these very, very steep drawdowns in Bitcoin. So the one thing that we do know is we do know that it's very volatile and risky. So you have to keep that in mind when you're choosing an allocation to your portfolio, that you don't want to put too much in something like Bitcoin, because that means that you're going to have to sit through a lot of these ups and downs in this volatility and be able to sleep at night at the same time and not worry about losing your assets. So in short, I think that Bitcoin is a emerging new asset. We don't get to see opportunities like this often. It is very, very unique. It has supply constraints. There are only so many coins that are circulating out there. It is decentralized, which a lot of people like that, especially as we've seen things go down with the US government spending so much money and increasing debts, and the Federal Reserve with interest rates. All of those things are leading people to want something that is less controlled. So I think that it's probably going to be worth a small allocation to it, even if you're just unsure. Now, if you are in tune with cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, you might be more comfortable having a larger allocation to something like Bitcoin. Those swings in price, as we've seen, can be very, very deep and kind of scary. You're going to have to sit through that and deal with it. And I have noticed that crypto investors can stomach those types of drawdowns easier than most people. So it all depends on your risk tolerance, your experience with the asset, and just your overall financial picture and what you can afford to lose or have in volatile assets. But generally, not many financial planners or financial advisors are approving Bitcoin in their client portfolios. They are very afraid to use it. It's very risky, obviously, so they stay away from it. But that is changing. And there are a lot of financial advisors that are actually embracing Bitcoin as an asset to add to the portfolio to help risk adjusted returns. And it doesn't have to be a huge position to make an impact. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Keep that in mind. If it's something that you are interested in and you don't want to regret missing out on the opportunity, take a look at your allocation, take a look at what you can afford to invest, and see what works for you. But I am not against it. All right, finance fam, if you found this video helpful, please smash the like button. If you've been wondering if you should invest in Bitcoin, hopefully this video puts you at ease a little bit. You are not alone. There are a lot of people wondering that same question. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed, and I'll see you next time.